This is Money Cash Goals, where we seek out expert advice and strategies on how to make money and spend cash to accomplish our goals. I am Lemont Walker, and today we will be learning about AI, robotics, and how to help our people in some crypto and some stocks. We have Stephen Cadet. How you doing today, brother?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Did I say your name properly?
Yeah, you said it perfectly right.
All right, we have Stephen Cadet, a.k.a. the Black Tesla. We'll get into that a little later, but Stephen Cadet, he spends his time in artificial intelligence. He's a robotics enthusiast. He created an electric concept car for Toyota, won first place at the first ever global AI hackathon for creating an AI system software capable of responding to human emotions. Wow. He published in peer-reviewed science journal articles for my research done in nanotechnology. That's for his research, not mine. Again, like I said, he's in stock and crypto. He's an investor. He's a poet. And he has created the Black Wall Street Discord. I can't wait to get into that. That's a beautiful thing. Stephen, how are you today?
Doing pretty good. We're just actually managing the Discord just now. That's what I do typically from Monday to Friday around like 9 to 5. And was preparing later on for a meeting for some project that I'm doing currently with quantum technology and artificial intelligence.
Amazing. Now, before we get into all the things you do, go ahead and give the audience and the crowd, all the listeners right now, some background information on yourself, where you come from, what you do, and how you got into the space you're in.
So I'm originally from Lemont, New York, aka Long Island. I have 4 siblings, all sisters, the only son, Haitian American descent, and I've always been an athlete my whole life. So that's like where a lot of my competitiveness and, my drive and I would say discipline came from. And really and truly, I've always been interested and had a great sense of love and passion for STEM, especially engineering. But just by chance, I never had the opportunity to actually formally, study it. All the things that I've learned and the knowledge that I've acquired within, robotics, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology was really all self-taught, or me just, rubbing shoulders with people that were within the space already that was, really accomplished or highly decorated in the field of education, within those respective industries. So, it was really like I was inspired heavily by like Dexter's Laboratory growing up. One of my favorite TV shows as well also was like Dragon Ball Z, and I like this character named Bulma. She was like a scientist that used to create like next world things. I was inspired by her a lot too, and then also Jimmy Neutron and a few other like science stuff. And I used to watch a lot of like Discovery Channel and History Channel when I was a kid. And I used to always wonder, like, what it would be like to be immersed into this space. And it was something that was like an end goal for me. I thought it was going to be something that I was going to get more into, like, after, like, I retired or something like that, just because I didn't really, obviously when I was growing up, it was dial-up and stuff like that. We weren't even really on Wi-Fi. I was using AOL as the primary means for internet connection. So the idea that I would be able to do it within the next 10 to 15 years wasn't really that within the scope of possibility for me at the time, especially considering where I came from and the fact that, this type of work wasn't really pushed in my community. You know what I'm saying? Like, I took a lot of computer classes when I was a kid, like just to get my knowledge up within like, Microsoft Office and, just my typing skills and stuff like that. But programming and stuff like that wasn't really that widely available. So it really was something that was an aspiration for mine. And then as time got, as time progressed and as I got older, around I would say like 19 years old, it was actually after I got into like, major car accident, and I almost, like lost my life. Where I was just like, why am I waiting to do tomorrow what I could do today? And obviously, at that point, technology had advanced a bit more, and so I just put my foot down and really like honed in on keeping myself immersed into the space and trying to, gain as much knowledge as I can in the respective fields.
Wow, I can attest to that AOL. I can remember back in the day before we can actually afford it, I used to get all the demos and just keep rerunning the rerunning the demo on the telephone until my father would catch it about every 3 months. They'd send him about a $350, $400 bill on that internet. So I definitely remember those AOL dial-up days. Now, about that accident, you said the accident changed your life into being in the moment of now. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I actually was just on a recent podcast talking about that as well as like my near-death experience. I was 19, and it's so funny because I always describe that part of my life as like all gas and no brakes. I had a bunch of drive, but it was like I wasn't really as clear on my direction and the execution on how I wanted to go about certain things. So the irony was that I got into a car accident because the car's brakes weren't working, and I wasn't able to stop as I was coming across the corner and I slammed into a tree and was ejected out the passenger side door after the tree collapsed on top of the car. I was in the driver's seat, and I literally just posted that on my story yesterday with the podcast where it's just talking like you see like the abrasions on my face, my eyes was like puffy and, black and blue, and my nose was broken in 6 places. And actually at one point I had flatlined, and then like when I came to, after the surgery was done, on my face and stuff like that, and I was home on bed rest, and I was supposed to leave for school to play football in college the next day. You know what I'm saying? And so it was just like, I had just lost my dad probably like a year prior, in the middle of senior year. So there was a lot that I had to and I had just left my first university due to racism and stuff like that. It's not being a good fit for me anymore. So all those things was just like, it just kind of made me see the irony of life and how, you can't take things for granted in the moment, because you never know when that moment will be gone, or you never know when your life will be gone, or the opportunity for you to do some of the things that you may have put on the back burner. So then it was like a lot of different things started like formulating within my mind around that time period. When you're just laying in bed and you don't have really much, you can't really move or do much, you get a lot of time to reflect and think. And, at 19, at that point in my life, that's when I really started getting like heavy into like meditation. And obviously I had my poetry to help me reflect on some of the experiences within my life as well. And it all just kind of made me like condense and internalize everything that I was going through or growing through, and really made me realize like, man, why like I've up until this point in my life, what have I done to really represent who I am in the deepest corners of my mind, the thoughts that keep me up at night, like as far as the impact I want to have on this world and the things that I want to accomplish. How is that being broadcasted on the surface of my personality and the things that I do? And that's when it was in that moment that I just made a mental shift and a promise to myself that I was going to live every day purposely, and I was going to live every day as if it was my last, so that if any given moment my life ended abruptly, I'll be satisfied with the things that I had done to live longer than I could.
Man, that's amazing when you talk about some of the things you went through, and I'm glad, and I'm actually happy and excited that not that it happened to you, but it led you into the mindset that you're in, because you spoke a little bit about being at the university and going through some racism and things like that. And you're also an athlete, and you play lacrosse, right?
Correct. Yeah. At that university, I was actually a double sport athlete. I went there on a lacrosse scholarship, but a week into being there, I broke the record for the mile time, and I got recruited to play cross country as well. So I was a double sport athlete at my first university.
Amazing. So you're in the tech space, AI, robotics. You play lacrosse. You said you experienced some racism at your university and things like that. kind of tell us a little bit about how, the things that you experience from dealing with your own people, your own culture, because you're in a space that's not really, talked about or discussed and taught at a younger age with our people. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's funny because I feel like I'm in my own lane, and it was something that I learned to relish in quite profoundly because, whenever and you're right, a lot of times when I was in college or I would go to these tech summits or stuff like that, conventions, or even more in depth when I would go into certain business meetings, with certain high level tech execs, I was more times than not the only Black person or one of two. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the other Black person was maybe the reporter. You know what I mean? Or something like that. They rarely had more than one or two people that looked like me that actually was in the space, So on that level, it's you see the demographic or the lack thereof, the lack of diversity that's present. And that was also that also is a driving force for me as well. When, I basically wear this now as a badge of honor to think who looks like me that's in this space, who could we name as a business person that's a Black man or woman off the tip of our tongue that didn't, do something else prior. We know them as a business person. We don't know them as an artist turned to business or athlete turned to business. We know this person as an innovator. This is what they do, the way we know Steve Jobs, the way we know Elon Musk, the way we know Larry Page, the way we know Mark Zuckerberg. You know what I'm saying? So, but within my community, I've always been given a warm welcome and a lot of encouragement, because my friends and family and the people that I've known within the neighborhood always tell me you got to do it because, you're doing something that not many people do. And you're inspiring people, and I've seen the inspiration now, especially the guys that are a little bit younger than me, where they come up to me and ask me advice, whether it's on stocks, crypto, or just how to start a business. And I'm always willing to lend a helping hand. I study business administration and marketing as well. So a lot of times also when some of my friends or people I know in the community, or even now, through Clubhouse or Instagram, they'll sometimes hit me up on the side and they'll be like, hey, could you help prepare me for this business meeting I'm about to have? So I have to negotiate, my contract or my deal, and I'll do that, free of charge just because I want these people to flourish just as much as me. I feel like there's enough for all of us. So, I think it's a very fulfilling thing to be in this space. And I see now the responsibility I have to represent for our people.
Everyone that's listening right now is going to get real serious because I'm going to let you know why Stephen Cadet is actually on the show, because I heard you speak and I heard you speaking about things that I never really, I'm not going to say never, but I didn't really hear people in the position that we're usually in, speak on these things. And first I want to ask you about the Black Tesla. Why do you call yourself Black Tesla?
So it was actually a name that was given to me on 3 separate occasions. And so the first time I have a scientist named Sadashi, who was based in India. It's one of the first people that I connected with on my pursuit towards, trying to build the future of tomorrow today and getting in the space of AI, robotics, and technology. There was a competition, quick synopsis. There was a competition going on in Dubai for the top 500 scientists in the world within the space of nanotechnology and AI, and he was on that list. So I actually reached out to the bottom 250 out of the 500, from 251 to 500. I reached out to all of them, told them my story, what I want to do in the world, and if any one of them wanted to help me along this journey. And he was one of the people that responded. So he sent me his research. Few weeks went by. We're talking back and forth. This was Skype days back then. This is 2012. Yeah, I want to say 2012. And he sent me a research paper. And at that time, I was just getting it really, really immersed into the space and trying to really, know all the movers and the people that came before me. I had a list of all the people that I needed to research and know about, right? And the next person on that list was Nikola Tesla. right? So I'm talking to Sadashi on Skype, and he's like, "Yo, man, I'm on board," and I'm like, "What? How did I convince you?" And he's like, "Yo, you remember that research paper that I sent you and you sent back to me?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, you completed my research." He says, "I don't know how you did it, but you like the notes that you put onto it helped me complete my research." And I was like, "Are you serious?" And he was like, "Yeah." And he was just fascinated at the fact that I was able to do that with no prior, educational backing in nanotechnology, and also being 19 years old at the time. So he was impressed by that. And so then it's funny because his next line was, I was like, taken back. I was excited that I finally got a scientist that was going to help me, further my vision. And he was like, "Can I say something to you?" He said, "I hope I don't offend you." And the moment somebody says that, you automatically get in defense mode. And I'm like, "Sure, what's up?" And he's like, he says, "You're kind of like the Black Tesla." And I was like, "What?" So then I'm like, "What?" So then I immediately flipped the camera and I'm like, "Do you mean this guy?" And it was the next name on the list, and the book was right in front of me. My notebook was right in front of me with his name, Nikola Tesla. And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I was like, "That's crazy," because he was the next guy that I was going to research. So that night, I stayed up the whole night and read everything there was to read about Nikola Tesla. Read his books, the whole 9, research papers, everything, all his patents, all of that. So that was the first time, right? Then the second time, I was in college now. This is like 2.5 years later, right? I didn't even take on that alias yet, right? I actually didn't even take on that alias until like 2020, which is crazy. So this is 8 years later, right? That I actually started accepting this as my alias. But so now this is 2014, end of 2014, maybe 2015. I'm in class. I'm in, I think it was a marketing class at the University of DC. And one of the professors, the projector wasn't working anymore. And so I just sometimes I just get this compelling nature to just do something. Like when I was a kid, I used to always fix things around the house. Like the cable was messed up, the computer was messed up, I'd always just fix it. That's what I was known at in my family. So I asked the professor, I said, "Hey, can I fix it?" He was like, at first he was like, I'm gonna call the technician because I don't want, you to be responsible if you mess it up. And I was like, all right. So then by chance, she goes on the intercom, tries to get the technician. The technician is out sick that day, right? So she's like, "Well, I guess today's your lucky day. If you fix it, then I'll give everybody 5 points, whatever, because we were supposed to do some extra credit assignment." She's like, "I'll give everybody 5 points." So she's like, "No pressure though, no pressure." So maybe within 3 minutes, I actually fixed it. So, the class gave me a round of applause. They was all happy to get their little 5 points. And then I'll never forget, there was a kid in the classroom in the back, and he said, "Man, that's pretty cool. How'd you do that?" And I was like, "I don't know." And he was like, "Yo, you're kind of like the Black Tesla." And I was like, whoa, because that was the second time that I heard that. And this is 2.5 years later. And I never told anybody about that story up until that point in time. So it was just it automatically brought me back to 2012 when Tadashi had said it to me. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. So now fast forward to 2020, the third time now, and I always say third time's a charm. I was actually building my Discord platform now, right? And so at this point already, I've already built up a little name for myself, within tech and stuff like that. I already have built the concept cards and everything like that. And I needed an alias. And then, so I was like, man, I'm thinking of the alias. I was talking to one of my friends within the neighborhood. I was like, I think I need an alias, but I don't know. And then he was like, why don't he says, "You got anything in mind?" I was like, I don't know. I was like, well, I don't know what to call myself. I want it to be something that speaks to everything that I want to do in the future, but, kind of also gives an homage to somebody that came before me. And he was like, "Well, don't you love Nikola Tesla?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." I was like, "But what?" He says, "I don't know, call yourself Black Tesla or something." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Nah, hold on." I was like, "Nah, hold on." So then I had told him the story of the prior 2 times that happened. And then after that, it just stuck. And then once I changed my name to that, then I got on Clubhouse, I made my name that too. And then people started to hear a little bit more of my story and things that I went through in life. They kind of championed it and almost welcomed it, because that's a very a risky alias to use because I look at Nikola Tesla so highly, and I personally don't believe like I've done enough yet to really add credence to that alias. But the way people have kind of like welcomed it and been encouraging it, is what's allowed me to really stick with it and really try to do the legwork to make sure that someday I add some like honor to it, and then also obviously to add some honor to my real name as well, Steven Cadet. But I mean, I like it now. It's just cool. It sticks.
Man, that's great. You may not believe it now, but 3 times the charm and the things that you speak on, especially when you talk about, working on your toes in this AI space. You talk about when you helped your teacher with the projector. The way when I first heard you speaking, and I want you to speak about this, when you were talking about the emotional detecting AI that you did on your toes to win, what was it, a competition or a war? Can you tell us something about that and what you did in the cybernetics in that part?
Yeah, so that was another time too. I forgot about that time. When I was, and that actually was my first post on Instagram where I was part of the global AI hackathon, and it was kind of around that time where I was like, okay, now I want to focus because for a lot of my life, my main focus has been sports. I've been an athlete since I was 2 years old, and so I think I was either a senior in college or just getting out of college, and I was just like, man, I want to really start immersing myself more, because at this point now I'm back in New York. I had left DC to get closer to my family again. And I was like, I need to recreate that feeling and that ecosystem that I had in DC in New York. I have to rub shoulders with, innovators, engineers and entrepreneurs and stuff like that. So I looked online and I saw that they were having, it just so happened to be the first ever global artificial intelligence hackathon being held in New York City. So I said, oh yeah, I got to sign up. Hopefully I get, selected to be able to go in this. So, told them my credentials. They gave me a chance to come up. I went there and, they paired me with some brilliant other engineers. And long story short, so we build this emotional detecting human emotion detecting artificial intelligence software, or so we thought, during the presentation. And I was the one that was presenting it. And in the midst of the presentation, so one of the capabilities of this system software was that it gave us soundtrack feedback based off of the emotion that was being displayed through audio feedback. And so the audio that I suggested to associate with like feeling out of space and feeling like nervous was Star Wars, right? So we're going through the presentation, we're talking about all the things that it could do, the capabilities, all the parameters and stuff that we use to build it. And then it's time to present and do a live demo, and the thing just shuts down. The thing just shuts down live during the presentation. So we're like getting all convoluted now. We're just like, oh man, what's going on? And so we're doing we have to live like hack and like try to reprogram this thing on the spot in front of everybody. And as we're doing it, the thing, in real artificial intelligence form just comes to life by itself, and it starts rebooting in the background behind us on this, because there was a screen that showed all like the coding and, the breakdown of the live demo and stuff like that. And the thing just came to life and just started playing the Star Wars sound. Like it played back an audio feedback of what I had said first, and then it played the soundtrack for Star Wars theme song. And then the crowd went crazy. Like they all like standing ovation and stuff like that. And then we won first place. And it was just such a surreal moment because it was like the first time, the concept car was like cool because it was like I created, a design that was like, pretty innovative and, got the eyes of some some Toyota execs. But when I did that, that was like the first time I felt like I did something really within the tech space that was just like, wow, okay, like I was a part of that. Like I actually did that. You know what I'm saying? And that was a real surreal moment for me where it was the first time I felt like okay, maybe I could actually, put some credence to this alias.
Black Tesla. That's real. This is Money Cash Goes, where we seek out expert advice and strategies on how to make money and spend cash to accomplish our goals. We really do have Black Tesla Stephen Cadets right now. I'm going to tell you one thing, man. You're in robotics, AI, you build computers, smart car concepts, all type of things. But tell me about when you were back at the University of DC and when they brought you up to speak. I saw that, and just a disclaimer, guys, this is a young brother right here. This is not an old man that's been doing this for 50 years, getting into this space. This is a young brother, and these things that he's talking about are all facts, and it's documented. But tell us about when you were back at DC, the University of DC, and when they brought you up to speak, and the presenter referred to you as the next Steve Jobs. You getting Black Tesla, you getting Tesla, you getting Steve Jobs, man. Tell us about that feeling and where you going with your life with that.
Man, that was real surreal. I'm not gonna lie. Like when that happened, I wasn't expecting that at all. Because this is I forget his role there, but he's somebody that was from Fudan University in China, which is widely regarded as like the Chinese Harvard. You know what I'm saying? And they came there for a business plan competition. But then when they seen how further along I was within my research and development, they just thought it would be better off to make it as a forum instead of, a competition. And I didn't even know if he knew anything about me prior to, but apparently, they're well prepared, and when he just introduced me and he said that, I was like, wow, that's like high praise, and then, it's so funny because I was so nervous at that time. When he said that, it was just like, I was like, okay, I gotta tighten up. Like, all right. So, and it's funny because like, since then, I looked at it from, two different perspectives. One, it was just like, okay, I have a lot to live up to, because I've always felt like, and maybe some tech execs, within Silicon Valley are not going to like me for this, but I felt like since Steve Jobs has passed away, Apple hasn't been as innovative. We went from combining the compass, the calculator, the camera, the flip phone, all into one device, and calling it the iPhone, and then creating the iPad, and remodeling and redesigning the home computer, and the laptop, to just really just improving the cameras, So it was like, just to see, like, to have a comparison to somebody like that I saw revolutionize the field of tech in a company now that's one of the most like cash rich companies in the world, and that's been a staple for innovation throughout my lifetime was a complete honor. But it also made me think like, man, when I'm building my company, I got to make sure that I don't get out from my own situation. I was like, because a lot of people didn't see his vision, when in the midst of when he was building some of the things, and he had to go out and do some other things and then be brought back into his own company before he then revolutionized it again, so it was twofold. I always look at things from multiple perspectives. Like actually, once he told me that, I actually put myself in Steve Jobs' shoes, and I was like, okay, well, how could I learn from his experiences and allow myself to be inspired by that, but also take the lessons from it and make it my own and turn it into something greater, and that was just such an honor, man. That was such an honor. He gave me such high praise, and I definitely appreciated it.
Spectacular. Now, earlier in your career as a youngster, you said that you reached out to people, but now I know that you're helping people daily with the Black Wolves Street on Discord. Please let us know what Black Wall Street is about.
So that's a great Discord platform that I created in the midst of COVID and the pandemic and quarantine. Basically, it was just a way for me to give back, man. Like when 2020 was actually my best year financially, I taught myself how to invest within the stock and crypto market in like 2014, 2015. I came from humble beginnings, and at that point in time, I was really thinking of how could I like that's it's so funny that it was a good segue from the last question where we were talking about, being called Steve Jobs, because at that point in time, that was when I was thinking, what could I do to solidify myself to not get ousted from my own situation? What could I do to increase my financial literacy and to make sure that I understand what shares are, what ownership means, and how to increase my wealth so that when I'm building my own thing too, maybe I won't need as much of somebody else's financial, assistance to help build what I'm trying to do, and how could I increase my wealth, and my net worth. So, it took a lot of nights where I wasn't, partying or going out like that in college. I would stay in my dorms and research, and that culminated into, 5 years later being pretty how do I say, effective in my trading, strategies and execution. So at that point in time, I was really just helping a lot of the community, like early 2020, and from like once I got home, like back to New York from 2016 to about like 2019, I was really just teaching, all the young people within my community, friends and families, the mailman, the garbage men within my community and stuff like that. And it got to the point where, like, especially in 2020, where, everybody's home now and more people, friends started telling friends. And, it started becoming too chaotic within my text threads, with all these text groups that I was in trying to teach everybody everything that I knew about stocks and crypto. So eventually somebody had put me on to the Discord platform. And I said, wow, this would be a great tool to be able to, streamline all of this, this work that I'm doing on a daily basis to try to, help people, gain financial freedom and financial literacy within the space of stocks and crypto. So, I created the platform, made sure I created like an educational section, questions, terminologies, so people could understand, the nuance and the language, between stocks and crypto. And, it was just a mission really to give back to the community and try to engage, like-minded individuals in this space of, conversations surrounding stocks and crypto and even beyond entrepreneurship. We look at the history of, the original Black Wall Street, and how it was destroyed. My goal and aspiration was to try to create the new digital Black Wall Street, but also incorporate that same tenacity of being like a wolf, Wolf of Wall Street without, the illegal stuff. So give an homage to Wolf of Wall Street and to Black Wall Street, and, combine the two and call it Black Wall Street, where it was a space created, a safe space created to engage in the conversation and increase people's financial literacy within stocks and crypto, completely free, just as a way to give back. And, it's something that's very fulfilling to me. Just seeing fathers, I've had fathers reach out to me and tell me they got their son involved, and now that, him and his son will do stocks together in crypto, and they sit on the computer and, engage in their Discord, couples, family members and stuff like that. So all that stuff has been very fulfilling to me, man, because if I could even just teach, one family or, how many other families, it's been growing pretty rapidly, especially with Clubhouse now. I'm well over 1,000 members now. And, that's in less than a year, and it's been a great space, and it's been a great experience, to really see the amount of testimonies of people that's been impacted in a positive way and have been able to increase their asset portfolio and net worth.
If there's anyone that I will learn stocks and crypto from, it would have to be you, Steven Cadet, aka Black Tesla, referenced to as Nikola Tesla, referenced as the next Steve Jobs. I'll definitely be listening to you, and like you said, you help and assist people in business too. Let the listeners know how they can contact you or get to that Discord.
Yeah, so the link to my Discord is in my bio on Instagram. My Instagram is my first name dot last name Steven, STEVENS cadet. Um, and also, I have an official Twitter for the Discord. It's literally called Stock Discord. Um, it's called Black Wall Street. Obviously, the link is there as well on the Twitter, and it's also on Clubhouse as well. You know, my name on Clubhouse is Black Tesla, obviously, and it's in the bio on my Clubhouse as well. And once again, the name of the Discord is Black Wall Street. And
Man.
yeah, that's the way you contact me. Contact me on Instagram. You can contact me on Twitter at the Black Tesla. Any business matters or anything like that, you can reach me on the Black Tesla at iCloud.com, or anything pertaining to the field of robotics, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence. I also have Stevens Cadet, the architect industries as well.
Guys, go plug in with Stevens Cadet. I'm already a part of the Discord, and I'm going to keep on going and keep on learning from you. But, you know, we are on Money Cash Goals, where we are all about getting started and getting started today. I know you've dropped some jewels, and people should be able to depict them and cipher through and should have been taking notes. But right now, at this point, what we're doing Money Cash Goals is take you, the expert, ask you, can you tell someone or somebody how they can make some money right now in your industry and get started today?
Well, for stocks and crypto, I would say to do the due diligence. You know, to get yourself immersed into spaces like, you know, maybe a Discord, or, you know, or maybe just, you know, do some research. There's a very good YouTube page called Black Girl Stock that does a lot of, like, you know, the breakdowns on really the nuance of stock trading and stuff like that. So I would say, you know, maybe, because you got to think, right? The average savings account, maybe you'll give 1 to 3% return, you know, over a long period of time, you know, and not a novice trader could beat that. You know what I'm saying? In my humble opinion, you know. So that's just one way, and obviously, education is key. You know, I always say, school may not be for everybody, but you got to be a student of something, right? No matter what space you're into, I don't think people really put as much monetary value in education as they should. You know, whatever you're doing, whether you're trying to be, you know, a car salesman, or, you know, a scientist, or a stock trader, or engineer, you know, immerse yourself in the space. You know, Clubhouse has been a great platform because it gives you the opportunity to connect with people that's in the space. You know, ask questions, ask around, and you'll be surprised the monetary value that you would see that would accumulate from that over time once you start implementing some of these lessons and teachings that you have learned along the way. You know, learn from other people's mistakes. And as far as crypto goes, I mean, I would just say just get in. You know, I'm not a financial advisor, obviously, but you know, we're already in the digital age, right? So I just always try to make things make sense. We're in the digital age where data is king. So it only is aligned with the fact that digital currency will start to have more of a profound impact and level of influence within our society. You know what I'm saying? If everything's ran digitally now, everything's really going digital, and you're seeing a lot of these wealthy tech companies, we're talking about like Facebook and Google, that are completely free as a platform for the user, yet their founders are some of the richest people in the world by just collecting your data. You know, then it goes to show you that data is king right now, and we're really in a digital space where, you know, you have the opportunity to get ahead of this emerging new financial structure that's literally changing people's lives overnight. You know, so don't be late to the party. Try to really, you know, anything in life takes risk, right? Anything in life takes some form of risk and sacrifice. So, you know, just do your due diligence. Take some time to really dive into the educational aspect and you know, the nuance of what these things are and what they could mean for your life in the future. And, you know, see if it's something that you are willing to take a chance on.
Stocks and crypto. We know you can go make money in that at any time. And you speaking on getting educated in it. That is the key. Man, you are very versed individual, very intelligent, very educated. I'll go listen to you any day. And this from speaking to you, I got out of you, man. Just don't be afraid to be the first. You're all about team building, assisting others, and the value of education. You know, I appreciate your time, and I definitely appreciate you for being on the show. I saw that you do a lot of traveling and you into poetry. You got anything you want to drop for us before we go?
Let me see if I got a little something for you. Hold up. Okay, yeah. So I actually just wrote this yesterday called A Speech in Stockholm, right? And you'll see at the end why that's the title. It goes like this, and excuse me if I butcher this a little bit. I just wrote it. But your beauty amazes me. I stand in awe as the battle rages on. The duality of chaos and love. I am merely a man, so I frequently indulge and lower my vibration, harping on the things that allow me to navigate through this experience seamlessly. I often take for granted what you mean to me, or at times I wish to disconnect from the source that allows me to project with anticipation of what is next. While feeling remorse for whom is left with the grief, I am left to deplete what's left within me. To ensure what I am placed here for is complete, I feel compelled just to be a being without care for the inconvenience. I built up the fortitude to correct whom does not pronounce the S in Stephen, and allegiance to my own sight. These visions were not meant for your eye, even though the design kept in mind your third perspective that shifted the paradigm within this glitch that I construct within this matrix. I pictured it, wrote it, spoke it, then made it, faced it like the enemy was what I'd seen transparently, the only son that my parents would breed that could make me bleed and keep me in tune with the reality that this flesh is what I need to transverse. I zeroed in the ones that tried to transfer tension for time, but was only here for a moment while looking inside to find why. It made me feel incomplete, as if the project's not me, and this was not merely just another aperture of what I was lacking, as I'm probing the miniature projection just to travel beneath the surface of what was lurking. Flow with no direction, this gut feeling I have nurtured. I'm chasing adversity for overcoming it. Works for me, and knowing what it brings is abusive. I mean to bring peace by breaking myself to pieces, just to build this puzzle mind that held the thesis. First, to change the world, we must change ourselves. This ain't a suicidal mind. You can't tell. So ring the alarm. This for the Nobel.
Wow, man, you a talented brother, Stevens. I tell you that, man. That Nobel is on the way. That Nobel is on the way, man. I thank you for your time. I appreciate for what you've done. I appreciate what you're doing for people, man. Keep it up. I can see where you're going. I see your career, man. You're on a whole nother level, man. Anybody, everybody, go tap in, connect with Black Tesla. You can get at him at Clubhouse at Black Tesla. Twitter, The Black Tesla, and Instagram, Stevens.cadet. Hey, if you can't get into robotics and AI, if you don't think you have a mind like that, he has a free course on Discord where he's dropping jewels of what he's doing and the things that he's learned and the education that he's giving out to others to become successful in life. Again, this has been Money Cash Goals, where we seek out experts, advice, and strategies on how to make money and spend cash to accomplish our goals. I am Lemont Walker. See ya.
Thank you.
Be great. This is Lemont again with the MCG team. Our specialty is showing people how to make money in real estate with little to no experience or license. If you're interested, email us at solutions@baxbill.com to get started today. We encourage everyone listening to join the MCG team for free business tips and tools by going to moneycashgoals.club. Be sure to subscribe and share the show with anyone that you think will benefit from it. The links are in the description. Remember, let's be free, financially, healthily, mentally, spiritually, all 4 seasons as one free up season. Be great.
Go. My mind been gone for a long time. Been busy out trying to get bread. Boy, putting in work for a long time. While I'm out back in here, I done reached my limit of the bullshit. Did it 40 acres in a cool whip. Get it? Smooth clap with a cool kick. Yeah, I do's this. Yeah, I rules this. Like Cap ain't moving. Till the Cap start moving. I ain't losing. Nah, better put some respect on my name. The remix is never the same. All this knowledge I'm giving you game. All this knowledge I'm giving you game. All this knowledge I'm giving you game. All this knowledge I'm giving you game.
Money, cash, goals. 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 Money, cash, goals.
Man, for real, no, man. 98, 99, 2000 era, man, we was on some money cash holes, really thinking that's what it's all about. And now we know in 2021 you gotta have goals and ready to accomplish them in a way that find out how to. We on money cash goals, man. For real, that's what we on.
Money, cash, goals, the only life that I know. Been told through multiple flows, creating multiple shows, multiple lives, the life that I live. Money is the cash on hand, cash be the bands, goals be the shit. Next level grit on the shit, get your piece of land. When you come through, and the sky is a sunroof, and the water is so blue. You and the wife in the sand doing 1-2. My life, yeah, I love you. Life's great, go play. We straight, on time, always early, never been late. Never diamonds, only jewels, strip gold. Money, cash, execute the goal.
Money, cash, goals. 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 Money, cash, goals.